gonna be stupid. Oh, you a preacher's kid, so you wow. But no, that's not true. I'm about that money, I'm about my grind.
So what is your name?
Hi, my name is Kirsten Jackson.
And how old are you?
I am 24 years old. By the end of this year, I'll be 25.
Okay, and who are you on a soul level?
Ooh, on a soul level, I would say I am a server. I am a caring person, a loving person, and an extreme empathist. And that kind of mellows out who I am.
Okay, so you said an extreme empathist. Explain that. Like, were you born that way? Things made you that way?
I think I was born that way, and I say that only because when I was really young, I can remember my brother getting in trouble for something, and he got a whooping, and he was on the steps, and we were at some party, and he was on the steps crying, and I remember just going next to him and like crying too. Now, why I was crying, I don't know. In that moment, I just felt his pain, and I felt really, really bad for him. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until like years later where I saw the movie The Secret Life of the Bees, mm-hmm. and I saw how the younger sister, she was an empathist as well. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's me. So that's what I felt like.
Perfect. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was changing the way.
I get the balance. I get it.
So good. Okay. So I'm gonna give you 3 different categories.
Okay.
And I want you to pick which category of things means the most to you.
Okay.
And which means the least to you.
Okay.
Okay. So the first category is love, sex, and relationships.
Okay.
The next category is society, culture, and politics.
Okay.
And the third category is spirituality and religion. Okay. So which of these categories mean the most to you and mm-hmm. which mean the least?
Right now, what means the most to me, I believe I'll always put spirituality, not religion, no, but I always put spirituality ahead of anything in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm just more so geared now towards being a follower of Christ mm-hmm. in its purest form. Mm-hmm. And I feel like religion is more or less like checking a box. Right. I feel like with religion, you don't have relationship. You have that fear factor of, if I don't do this, God is going to smite me, mm-hmm. or God is going to be angry at me. And that's not the God that I have a relationship with. That's not the God that I know. The God that I know is gracious and graceful. And so if you forget to pray, or if you don't pray over your food, His grace sustains you so that you don't have a stomach ache or get food poisoning, mm-hmm. you know? So it's not like He's out to get us. He just wants us to reconnect with Him, who is the creator of us. He just wants us to get back on that relationship level to where we were like in the garden and we were connected, and hearing the voice and hearing His voice. So I think that that's going to be what always drives me and is always most important in my life. However, I think that when I get older, you said love and sex.
Mm-hmm. Love, sex, and relationships, and that's any kind of relationship.
Okay.
And society, culture, politics was the other little.
That's funny, because I majored in sociology.
Really?
Okay, so I think as I grow older, love, sex, and relationship will probably be important to me just from I'll get married, have children, all of that hoopla. Mm-hmm. But right now, that's not really that important to me. I love my friends, but that's the only relationship category that I have right now. So, yeah. Like friendship, family, that's very important to me as well. So it's, I don't know, that's hard. It's hard to put it on what's more and what's least.
Right.
Because all of those are very much so in my daily conversation. Because society and politics, me and my family, we politic all the time. Like, we sit and we talk about society all the time.
So what are your thoughts on society right now?
I feel like it's sad.
These are the facts.
Ooh. And you know, though, like, as a Christian, I try my hardest to not let the societal norms become my norms, because I'm supposed to live set apart, right? So I'm not of the world, I'm just living in the world. But I know that my final resting place is nowhere here. So I actually need to keep my mind on things that are higher. But it's hard sometimes when you have a culture that you're living in that have certain things that that sometimes you feel like you have to be a part of, because you don't want to be that outcast. I feel like I've lived my life a very, very long time feeling like I was a black sheep.
Black sheep to everyone else, or black sheep in your family? Or?
Oh, black sheep everywhere.
Okay.
I just felt like I did not belong. I just didn't belong in certain places, in certain spaces. My mindset is very different from the people that from just people I've grown up with.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem sharing this, and I'm a virgin at 24.
Yes.
So God is good.
We found one.
So because of my virginity, that's also like certain conversations where, you know, like you got your friends and they're sitting there, they're talking about their sex life, and you're over here like, you did what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I think it was just certain things that I did not really necessarily want to be a part of, because I knew who I was a part of, that I just didn't want to entertain it. But going away to college and having my time to kind of sort of wild out, quote unquote, I was able to see, like, okay, you're not necessarily like a black sheep. You're just set apart. Like, you're a kingdom's child, and that's all it is. You're not supposed to look like the world, you know. And sometimes we all struggle with falling into looking like the world. But like I said, that grace again. But we're not supposed to look like the world. So even now, like, understanding that I can't just be listening to anything on the radio. I can't just be going to any place all the time, because that's not who I identify with. I don't identify with those things. So I can't connect with that.
Okay. What are some of the things you said that you feel like we are thrown into, or we have to be a part of these things, otherwise we're looked at as outcasts? So I'm guessing that the whole sex culture is one of them.
Yes.
But what are some other things you've run into in life where you felt like, I don't really get with that, but you felt like, or you felt like you needed to learn about something or kind of be a part of something in order to fit in with our generation?
So for instance, this whole like thing now where females like are being the aggressors.
Okay.
And people believe, and like females really are believing like to pursue is really how it's like the new wave in a sense. But I don't necessarily believe that. I'm very traditional. I'm very like, and I believe when the Bible says he who findeth, I'm not a he, but he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And so I remember one time, bless my friends, but I remember one time in school, my friends were having a conversation about one of my friends talking to some guy and just being, you know, taking the initiative to talk to him first. And I just was so tired of my opinion always being the opinion that was the unpopular one. And so that night, I just remember just being silent, because I was just so tired of having to always debate why I felt the way that I felt. And so I was just quiet. And I remember my friends were like, why are you so quiet today, Kirsten? And I was just like, I don't feel like talking. But in all honesty, it was because I was so used to not not sharing the same beliefs as my friends when it came to certain things like relationships. When it comes to certain things like, I guess, I would say, I don't know what else like I really am a part of, or I feel like I have to be a part of in order to really like fit in with my culture and society, just
Right.
because I try to be as independent, and I always have been.
Right.
More so like you do that over there and I do this over here, to where I can't even remember what are the things in my past that I tried to do to fit in, because that's just not who I am anymore.
Right.
So yeah, if I can remember, I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, no problem. And I wanted to ask you one more thing for that one question.
Okay.
So did you grow up in a religious household, and that is why you're so close to the, okay. I was just thinking, because you could have been, in a household that didn't,
Right,
and then
right.
you found God yourself, so.
And I think that, and I was telling one of my best friends yesterday, I applaud anyone who has not grown up in a household where Christ was taught, because in my opinion, that is a hard thing. That's a hard way to come to Christ, because you don't have that foundation. I had that foundation. Growing up, my father was a minister, and now my father's a pastor. I'm a PK, right?
Yeah.
And, a lot of people probably are going to say, oh, you a preacher's kid, so you wow. But no, that's not true. That's not true. Because I was always afraid of the disappointment of my parents. So I did not do anything. Of course, I went away to school and I did my thing, but I came back because I ultimately really, really cannot take the look of disappointment on my parents' faces. I just can't. But going off and going away to school helped me to see the foundations that my father and my mother, my grandfather and my grandmother, it helped to see the foundations that they were putting into me when I was learning that as a young child, to where then when I went through my trials, I looked back on that and I said, okay, so what's the common denominator in all of that? And it was God. So that's what helped me to differentiate, because in a growing up in a religious household, it's kind of like God is like forced down your throat, and so it's easy for a child or a preacher's kid or just someone who grows up in the church. It's easy for them to like stray away from the church. But it's also easy for them to know where to come back to. And that's why I say I really do praise people who do not have that foundation.
Right.
Because it's kind of almost like they're searching like without a map. And that's very hard sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Those were beautiful answers.
Thank you.
I'm going to get you to draw.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is pick a color or colors that represent your mood right now.
Okay.
And some colors that represent your life.
Okay. Yellow, because y'all notice what I'm wearing. Mr. Pink. This should be in. It should be good. Okay, use these ones.
And why? Well, what colors did you pick, and
Okay.
why did you pick them?
So I picked yellow, because yellow to me is just like the happiest shade. I love the way that it contrasts against our skin tone. I love the way that you see someone who wears yellow and automatically it just uplifts you. So that's why I chose yellow. I chose pink because it's my favorite color. And I love pink because it expresses the girly girl side of me. I'm not necessarily completely a girly girl, But when I see pink, I literally just get all floofy inside. I chose brown because I am a brown girl. And I chose green because I'm about that money. I'm about my grind. So
Okay.
that's why I chose those 4 colors.
Okay, perfect. So just draw whatever you want throughout the interview, and at the end, I'm gonna get you to show everyone.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So the first question: what excites you more than anything?
Love. I'm a hopeless romantic.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm single as a Pringle, even though they come in a stack. No, I'm not in a relationship right now. And I don't think I necessarily want to be in one. I mean,
Right now or ever?
right now.
Okay.
And in my right now sense, I'm sorry guys, I'm a goof, but in my right now space, relationship is looking real like bleaky because God bless you young men, but God bless you young men. Like it's so much work that I feel like I need as an individual. But I also feel like looking at my pickings, like if I'm going to be doing all this work, I don't want someone who's not going to be willing to like do their work as well.
Right.
And also I believe that like relationship is a choice. Like
Right.
love is a choice, and it's a continuous choice. So if I'm all in and I know what I have to bring to the table, as far as just me being able to stick it out and see things through, I don't give up on people. And so I need someone who's going to match that. And right now it's looking like people are just so fickle, and they're so ready to just leave at the first sign of disconnect. But that's not what love really is. Love is staying even when you don't have anything to relate with that person with. Love is staying and trying to find another way to figure that person out. And right now, I just don't see the generation in which I live in really having that like stick with it power. So I mean, hey, if God just drops my atom on me, cool beans. But right now, I really, honestly, I'm just like, I got too much stuff. I can barely keep my room clean. Like, let's keep my room clean first, and then I can deal with the ups and the downs of relationship.
Right. Okay. What makes you the most upset?
Who? When people discount me, or should I say when people don't take into consideration my character, when they make assumptions about something that I did, especially from the people that I know the most, who are closest to me. So for instance, say that I accidentally said something that wasn't nice to one of my friends, cut that. Say that I accidentally was like late to somebody's birthday, and they thought that it was me trying to be some other way, but that's not who they know me to be. That's not who they know my character to be. So I really don't like it when the people that are supposed to know me the most make assumptions based off of something that I've never even shown them in who I am. And I think a lot of people do that with the people that they know, where that person has never even shown you that to be them.
Right.
And yet you're making assumptions based off of something that you are reflecting. So I really can't stand that. Like, if I never showed it to be me, don't assume that that is me.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Make a facial expression that explains you.
You ready? This is gonna be stupid. All right, here we go. You ready?
Why?
I am goofy, and life happens to me like a mother lover. Like, life just happens to me. I'm always up in some type of something, and I'm just like, whoa, life comes at you fast. Like, and so I think that is like me 99.9% of the time, just walking around like, whoa, 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 that's crazy. Like, but through it all, I just find a way to just like smile through it.
Yeah.
And like persevere through it. So yeah, life just happens to me. But I'm learning that I'm not my circumstances. I actually, I'm victorious, and I'm powering through my circumstances. But that does not mean that I don't feel it, and I be feeling it.
Okay. What are you most afraid of?
Ooh, watching my life crumble before my eyes and me not being able to do anything about it. That's my worst fear.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty scary.
Yeah, right? And me just not being able to, like, even in the least bit have any type of control.
Do you have any weird habits?
I talk to myself a lot. I answer myself a lot. But I'm learning more and more people do that.
Yeah, I do that.
I sing a lot. I don't know. Man, it would be so easy if my friends were here. They would be like this. That girl, you're crazy. Jeez. I don't know, because I'm just overall a weird person.
No.
Oh yeah, but I love it. I don't know. That's a part of me.
It's like good weird.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna like go out here like shoot people up, like shoot, bang, shoot them up, like no. Or just be like, I don't know where you were last summer. Like I'm not that type of weird. But I just like to, if I want to dance, for instance, like I used to dance on campus all the time.
What school did you go to?
I went to University of Maryland, Eastern Shore.
Okay.
Huh, right? I gotta say that. Yeah, so like I would walk in like the I forgot what it's called, the academic oval, I'll call it.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to dance, I would just stop and dance. If I wanted to sing, I'd burst out into a song. If I wanted to do like a little monologue, I'll do that monologue. I don't care. I don't care. So maybe
I love it.
That's a weird habit for other people who are more chill.
Oh yeah.
So people who are more on the chill side, they kind of look at me and they're like, yo, you do crack. And I'm like, no, because crack is whack. Crack is cheap, and I make too much money to be doing crack. Love you, Whitney.
You go, girl. You go. What's the most challenging thing you've ever gone through?
Oh, when I was in the 9th grade, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And scoliosis, for all of you who don't know, scoliosis is a curvature of the spine. So, and I'll draw a picture of that for you guys because it's easier to see. So, spines are supposed to be straight like this. My spine was like this. So my spine was like that. My spine was like a backwards. Yeah, it's like a backwards S. And so when I was in the 9th grade, I had to go and I had to get spinal fusion surgery. And that was a very, very hard time in my life. I was scared. It was my first surgery, so I was just like panicking. I didn't know what to expect. And then I couldn't see my friends like I wanted to because it happened in the middle of the school year. So it was like a portion of that time spent at home where I wasn't being socialized with my friends. I was missing out on certain things. And so that was really hard for me, but thank God he got me through.
Okay. What's the hardest conversation you've ever had to have?
Jeez, Monini. I don't know. Me laughing like that is like I kind of do know. I think okay. I think the hardest conversation I had to have myself, or I had to have, was with myself. And I had to have it because I was letting my insecurities encompass me. Like I was letting it take over me and affect who I was. Mm-hmm. And it actually was just like recently where I just was like, Kirsten, you gotta get it together, sis. Because you have this light inside of you that you're literally dimming, and not because anybody else is dimming it. It's literally because you are dimming your own light. And I think that was very, very hard, because you don't ever want to hear that you are your own worst enemy, because you're so used to other people knocking you down. But I was knocking me down, and so just me looking at myself in the mirror, getting myself together. That was hard. It was hard to have to come to that understanding that I was the reason why the things that I wanted to do in life didn't happen.
What do you have to say to the world?
Hey, what's up, y'all? I guess what I would have to say is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of that voice that you hear inside of you that is telling you to go against the grain. Because that voice inside of you is telling you to go against the grain for a reason. I believe that there's a lot of hurt in this world, but there's also a lot of false coping in this world as well. And so I just want people to understand that the drugs, the alcohol, the sex, all of that is just a kind of sort of negative coping mechanism to the fact that there's a hole in your heart that you literally will not be able to fill unless you allow Christ to fill it for you. And I am a living testament to that. Like, it was times where I was out getting high, I was out drinking, and I would go back to my room and literally feel like I wanted to cry, because the high that I felt was not, I can never get high enough. And I think that is why people do say that weed can kind of sort of be a gateway, because you're always searching for that next. And so I never felt high enough to really escape. I never was drunk enough to forget that I was in a place where I just wasn't happy, and I just wanted companionship, and I just wanted intimacy, and I just wanted to be loved and to be told that I was enough. But it wasn't until I literally opened my Bible and I gained a relationship with Christ that I was able to see myself through him and not through the eyes of the world that always are going to find something wrong with me. But Christ always finds something right with me, even in the midst of my wrong. So if anything, I would say to the world, like, you have someone who died for you, who literally wants nothing else from you but you. So try him, and I promise you, it'll be the best decision you've ever made. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What did you draw?
I don't know. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna draw, because I can't multitask, y'all. So I'm gonna draw me. Let's do the front. Gotta smell the fish. Try this. Okay, so this is what I drew.
Hold it up a little bit. Okay, so what is this?
Okay, so this is the sun.
Mm-hmm.
This is me.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jesus, right? So now everything that I do, I'm trying to do to make him happy, or should I say, to just be pleasing to his sight. And so this is him being just pleased with my work. And that, like, when I think about my happiness, that's what I think about. Am I making him, am I showing him in the right light? Am I being the light that he put inside of me? And yeah. And like, it's funny when I chose green, because I used to say this thing like, you can call me what you want, but you can't call me broke. Like, I used to say that all the time because I was looking at money as a means to like escape my insufficiencies. Like, if you got money, you could buy clothes, you could buy makeup, you could buy things to, you know, kind of change yourself. But in him is where I found my true change. So I changed the green from what I used to depend on to change me to now who I really do depend on to change me and to make me into a different person. And that's that. Man.
Great.
Yeah.
I
Sorry it
love
wasn't.
your bodies.
Yeah, because I can't jump. This is Kirsten in the flesh.
Perfect. Thank you.